Hod Shebayesod is a very important part of the Sfira. Yesod, like I mentioned a few times, is relationship, is foundation, is connection. Hod Shebayesod is something that we don't take so much note to, but in any type of relationship, especially marriage, we tend to develop habits. And in any relationship, it's not only specifically in a marriage, even in my relationship with myself and even in my relationship with Hashem, I tend to create and develop habits. Now, many things in my life that I'm used to, that I do, and I do them because I'm used to. If you look at your life, at many things that you do, try to question, why do I do it? And you'll see that in many times, you do it because it's a habit. And you're doing it like a robot. Now, when is it something that it's a habit? When it's an action that is automatically, and I don't have to think about it too much. So some things are completely automatic action is when you walk. You don't have to think of when you're walking. Wait a minute, now the right leg has to go. Wait a minute, now the left leg has to go. This is not an action that you really think. But nevertheless, that's an automatic action that happens without you thinking too much. But look in your life, how many times you do a certain action and you're doing it because you're used to it. It's a habit. You're not doing it because you want to or because you need to. And you know where you see it a lot? With praying. You see it a lot in Judaism. People pray. They pray all their life. You know why they come in the morning to pray? Because they did it like a machine for the last 50 years. When I became observant, for me, praying was like a whole thing. I mean, up until today. But nevertheless, most people have challenges with prayers. Sometimes you go to certain shuls and you see people there, 50 years, they come, 7 o'clock in the morning, they do everything. Why? But you see it's very robotic. It's very like a machine. This is a habit, and this is not good. Now, any type thing in my life that has to be repetitive and a habit, this is connected to the Sfira that is called Hod. Now, is a habit a good thing or not? Soon we're going to see if a habit is a good thing. Sometimes habits is a good thing. But nevertheless, sometimes you need to go out of your routine. A habit is also a certain routine, that you do something repetitively. And sometimes you need to go out of this routine. And that's actually a good thing. To go out of the routine, this is, in the Kabbalistic term, called to reveal the Hod Shebayesod. I mean, when we're going through all these Sfirot, then I'm not going to say fancy words or to just sit here and warm a chair. I want to see where is this Sfira in me. A Sfira is a certain mechanism in me that is causing me to do something. So when I need to go out of my schedule, out of my routine, what they call here a day off or vacation or something, sometimes I just need a couple days off. I need to go out of my routine. This is revealing the Hod Shebayesod in my soul. Now, in some cases, habits and routine is very, very good. And if I have a good habit, it's good in some cases. But there's always a danger in habits. If you're getting yourself into a routine and you're very disciplined, and this is when I wake up, and this is when I go to work, and this is when I work out, and this is when I eat, and this is when I pray, this is very good habits. Anything you put yourself in a habit is good, but there's a great danger in habits. Why? Because when something is becoming too repetitive, then you know what happens? Then I start taking things for granted. That's the danger in a habit. That it becomes obvious already. I don't have to work too much for it. I don't have to put effort to it. This is the danger when something becomes too much of a habit. When I go into a certain routine, then routines are very, very good. But nevertheless, again, I can fall into a dangerous place that the routine becomes obvious. And not obvious, it becomes that I take things for granted. And when I do that, that's already a pgam, a damage in the Sfira of the Yesod. Of the Sfira of Hod. If I get to a point that something is repetitive or there's a certain habit, but I take it for granted, then it means that there's a damage in the Sfira of Hod, and then I need to do some type of tikkun there. How do I do a tikkun? By being thankful. I told you already that when we're looking at the Sfira of Hod, you can look at Hod in two different channels. One of them will be Hoda'ah, that's what we said last week. Hoda'ah means to admit, and Hod can also be Hodaya, to thank, to be thankful, to be grateful. How do you do a tikkun by falling into a place that you blemish the Sfira of Hod? Is by being thankful, by Hodaya. So when we're looking at the Sfira of Hod Shebayesod, I told you, first of all, Hod, any type of habit, it's connected directly to the Sfira of Hod. If you're doing it in a healthy way, then that's very good. There's no problem with it. That's where habits are very, very good. When does a habit become not good? Is when I fall to a point that I take it for granted. And it doesn't mean my habit is to wake up in the morning and to do 10 push-ups. I'm not talking necessarily, that's a good habit. But sometimes somebody does something to me that I already see it as like, okay, and I'll give you one example out of many. Sometimes in a household, there's a rotation. Tonight you do the dishes, tonight you do the dishes, tonight you do the dishes. Some houses, every night, one person does the dishes because they want whatever, that's what they want to do, whatever. Or maybe they don't have an option. If you are the person who doesn't do the dishes and you know it's already a habit, she will do the dishes. Okay, let's say that's her part. And your chore is to, take the garbage out or to water the garden. But when a person does something repetitively to you, that it's becoming like a habit, you take it already, you take things for granted, she'll do it. She'll clean the table. She'll take the garbage out. She'll do this. So how do you break this? Is that you thank the person for doing something for you. So habits is not only something that I do. If I do a habit and it's keeping me in a very healthy, good place, good. When is it not healthy? When it becomes a habit and I'm not doing it with all my heart. I'm just doing it repetitively. If you go every day to pray 3 times a day and there's no emotion in the prayer, you're just doing it like a robot, then this is a very bad habit. And the advice to it is today pray at 8, tomorrow pray at 7. The next day pray in this shul, and next day pray in that shul. I change a little bit. Because I know some people, they pray in the same synagogue 50 years. Same, everything is the same, but very robotic. That's not a good habit. Now it happens when the habit is on me, and somebody does to me something every day. And now at some point that I take advantage. Oh, that person will do that to me every day. When I was a kid, my mom used to make me a sandwich to school every day. Can you imagine one day she would forget the sandwich? Whoa, what am I going to eat today? So when somebody does something for you repetitively and you start taking it for granted and you expect it, that's when there's already a deficiency, a pgam, a damage in the Sfira of Hod. How do you fix that? Is by thanking. And thanking who? Thanking the person. And when you thank somebody, but really, really thanking, you know what you're really applying? You're basically understanding, you're saying that nothing is to take for, nothing is so obvious. Nothing is, don't take anything for granted. And now the thing is that sometimes somebody does something good to you and you're feeling with the feelings of gratitude. And this is pretty rare because most people, they're expecting the world to serve them. But sometimes you have a moment, somebody did something amazing to you and you get full of, wow, you're so grateful and thankful. What do you do usually? You'll either say thank you in a very exciting way, or you'll go and get a present and you come to the person with a present and you thank them, you write a nice note. When you see somebody do something to you and you're not feeling grateful or thankful, that's a problem. That means that you already fell into this idea of a habit or routine and that person will do it. So this is where I have to refine myself. I have to now separate it in 2 categories, so to say. The first category is when I go into a habit. Now if I'm in a habit that I see that it's healthy, good. When do I see that it's not healthy? Is that it's automatic and I'm not doing it with any excitement or any thought or any feelings. That's when I have to break this habit. Now we want to take it to the place where it's done to me so I can refine myself. If everything is done to me every day, and I'm used to you doing this to me, you doing this to me, you doing that to me, and I'm already not thankful and appreciative and grateful, that's already a problem. How do I break that? By seeing that, wait a minute, you don't owe me anything. You don't have to do nothing to me. The fact that you're doing it, that's very nice. How do I do a tikkun here? Is that I have to be thankful. Somebody does something for you, be thankful to that person. How do you thank them? You can thank them with talking, with an action. But when you thank somebody in a profound way, then you, so to say, you freshen things up. So you want to get to a point that you constantly showing gratitude and being grateful. We have a habit in our house. Happens to be that now in the month of Iyar, 3 of my kids, they have birthdays one after the other. So attached to each other. And so now we're celebrating. This is a week of celebration, but the thing is that we have a habit in our home that we celebrate the whole week. So there's the day of the birthday, but we celebrate the whole week. All week there's presents and surprises, and so it's now not one day, it's a whole week. Now there's a problem because 2 of my kids this week, their birthdays are literally attached. Chaf Daled and Chaf Hey, 2 days. So now we have so we do 1 week back, 1 week forward. But anyways, the whole house is full of balloons. But nevertheless, so what's one of the things that we do is every day they get little presents. They get one major, the kids, they get one big present and then many little presents. And it makes the birthday exciting that you have a lot of presents to open. So why am I saying that? Because we constantly have interactions with people. My wife, my kids, my friends, whatever. And people do normal relationships. People do good things to you. So you want to constantly, you can't be very robotic and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's not the right way. But you want to do like a series of small presents, like we give to the kids. So small presents, and these small presents is this feeling of grateful. And so what if you do a certain thing every day? Not too long ago, I spoke with somebody, and all he did the whole time was just complain about his boss. And I said, have you ever thought of once thanking your boss? We'll never thank him, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. I told him, but you worked there for 10 years. Have you ever thanked him for even tolerating you? Why you think you're such a gem? All you need to do is put an ad in the paper, he'll replace you. Why don't you just try to maybe be grateful to your boss? He puts up with your behavior and your stinky attitude. I said a few other things not so appropriate. I told him, but just to put him in the right perspective, I told him, well, who do you think you are? Maybe thank once your boss. People think that because I worked for somebody, then I need to take the check and he needs to kiss my legs. No, you have to sometimes thank your boss. Thank you for accepting me. Thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for, now, Baruch Hashem, there's the dime a dozen. You can get, unless you have some type of a qualification that nobody else have, then I can understand you have some ego. But sometimes I see people in work relationship, be thankful to your boss. Be thankful to many other people that help you. Nobody owes you anything. And you'll see that when you're becoming grateful and thankful to people, you see that suddenly you get a total different reaction. But here specifically, when we're looking at the Sfira of Hod Sheba Yesod, then this is to focus on where in my life I'm subject to habits and to repetitive actions, and I have to know how to, so to say, fluff it up, to refresh it, that it doesn't become too much of a habit. So if it's something that I do, then you need to know how to, in a healthy way, spice things up. You pray every day in one shul, so if everything is going very well, good. But if you see you falling into some place of a repetitive action, so one day go over there. Break the routine a little bit, go over there. And I'm just giving one example out of many. You take it to your personal life and you apply it, how is it to do with your life? But mainly what we want to focus on specifically in this Sfira is when somebody does something to me every day. My wife makes for me every day dinner. This she makes every day, folding the laundry, whatever it is. Don't take things for granted. I'm saying my wife, I don't want to say my husband, then start people getting all sorts of weird ideas. So in your case, it will be a husband. But even when, for a wife, the husband does a certain thing every day. Don't take things for granted. He's getting up in the morning and working. He's supporting you. He's bringing a parnasa to the house. He's also doing things. Assuming he does. Also show gratitude and gratification and gratitude and thankfulness and so forth. So the point here is that I constantly, when somebody does something to me, don't take things for granted. Constantly be thankful and grateful. This is the point here. Now, practically saying, when I want to apply it into my life, is when somebody does something, especially small things, don't, first of all, of course, say thank you. Don't just look at it and say, okay, whatever. I told you already a few days ago in one of the classes that when I grew up, I told you that dinner in our house was like yareg v'bal yavor. Chas v'shalom, you miss dinner, this is a danger zone you don't want to even get into. I was petrified when I was a little kid. If I was outside playing, half an hour before I would already get, oh my God, it's dinner time. If I wouldn't be at dinner, I would be in trouble with my father. But nevertheless, dinner is when we all sat and everybody shared what they had to say, whatever. It was a certain time the whole family is together. And in a very special way, not in a not nice way, every time my father would come and thank my mom for preparing the dinner. And you would see that it's not like thank you. I would observe. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, kids observe everything. They see everything, and everything is registered. I remember as a kid, I would see everything. And that's something that was engraved into my mind. And my father, every meal, would come and thank my mom for making the meal. To make a meal, I don't have to tell you, it can take sometimes 2 hours. Cutting and chopping and washing and peeling and cleaning. So, and that was so profound in my memory, how he comes and he doesn't take it for granted that he's making a meal every day. He could easily say, what are you talking about? I work 16 hours a day. I bring parnasa to the house. I do this, I do that. Of course you have to make the meal. There's no of course here. So when people do things to you in your life, be very, very grateful. Even if it's little things. Your friend, your wife, your husband, when they make a cup of tea to you, thank you so much. Thank you, I appreciate it. Something happens, sometimes somebody do something, be very grateful and thankful for little things. That's how you're making the refinement for the damage, for the pgam, specifically in the sphira of the hod. When things become repetitive and pushed under the rug, or so to say, that's when you see there's a damage, there's a pgam, specifically in the sphira of the hod. Hod shebayesod is this habit in my relationships. And if you're getting into any type of habit in a relationship, that's already the danger zone where you don't want to fall into. When things become repetitive and in a habit way, but in a way that she'll do it. It will happen. He will do it. So no, this is where you have to break it. This is where you have to refine it. And the only way of doing it is constantly applying hodaya, being grateful, being thankful. And if you can't bring yourself to this point that, okay, of course they have to do it, then you have to see, why am I not grateful when that person did it? And I have to bring myself to understand that that person doesn't have to do anything to me. If that person now quits, then you're staying now without any help, and then you're going to have to do it. So that's how I run it in my thoughts, that if somebody does something to me, and I really don't feel grateful, I imagine that person now leaving and not doing it anymore. And then who's going to have to do it? I will have to do it. Oh, no, thank you so much. You did amazing. You're unbelievable. Thank you so much. I can't believe how much you do it. And when you really see when somebody's doing something great, is when they leave and you do it, and then you see that they did it 10 times better than you. So some people think that they can do everything by themselves best. And some people are very good in a lot of things. They can do things good. But you feel, when you see that somebody is doing something amazing, is when you have to do it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is hard. I better them do it, and I'll just say thank you 10 times a day. So, Hod shebayesod, we have to make sure that in relationships things don't become a habit. You have to get out of habits. You have to freshen up sometimes things. And the way to do it is applying the Hod shebayesod, the thanking, being grateful in the relationship. And that's how you do a tikkun for something that a lot of us fall very easily into this routine that is a very dangerous place to pull me down to a place that I become very ungrateful, in Hebrew you say apati, that I don't care. I don't know if you say that also in English. Apathetic, I don't care. They'll do it. Sometimes you see, when you see it, some family sits around the table, everybody finish eating, everybody goes, whoa, what's going on here? So, not to chas v'shalom say, put anybody in a bad spot, but you see how sometimes we do here big meals. Sometimes 50, 60, 80 people sitting here in a meal. The meal is over, everybody's out. I'm left here with a whole mess to clean. Whoa, where are you all going? I just fed you. No, I gotta wake up in the morning, I pray nets. I pray nets too! So sometimes you see, when it's time to give a hand, everybody disappears. So don't take things for granted. Somebody helps, somebody puts a hand, somebody assists. You have to be grateful. Bichlal is a very good midah to constantly be grateful. Because I constantly have in my mind, that's how I was educated. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody has to do nothing for you. If somebody already does something for you, be thankful for that person doing it for you. Because at the end of the day, nobody owes you nothing, especially not the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It doesn't owe you anything. So when you apply that into your life, you're able to bring to a refinement for the Sfirah of Hod, which is a very, very profound. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should be able to really see the good that people do in our life, so we can not only feel that, but also be grateful and be able to share that with people who do good things in my life.